JamesAllen.com is the online destination to easily design a customized engagement ring and save up to 50% compared to traditional stores. You pick a diamond, whether it's lab-created or earth-created, James Allen has over 200,000 conflict-free stones. Then you pick your ring setting and metal. And if you need some help, they have real-time diamond consultations available, where an expert can walk you through it all. Get 25% off your order at JamesAllen.com, code podcast. That's JamesAllen.com, code podcast.
Welcome to the PowerCat Podcast, GoPowerCat.com's Kansas State Athletics Show. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, from the GPC studios, here's your host, GoPowerCat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the PowerCat Questions Podcast, brought to you by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Tim Fitzgerald, Zach Carlson, Cole Carmody, Ryan Gilbert, right here in the GPC studios following Chris Klieman's first official press conference of the year up at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I don't know how much we learned, but it was good to be in person, even if it was masked, to have a press conference. No Zoom for me. No Zoom, which was good. I appreciated the fact that we did this in person. We may not for long, but we'll see how it goes. And we have another opportunity. Was it tomorrow already, on Wednesday?
Lots the rest of the week, too.
Yeah, so there we go. We're going to be busy talking to players and coaches, but today was just Chris Klieman. Our segment sponsors are Tanner's and the High-Low. Make sure you're stopping in to the Fridge, Tanner's and High-Low whenever you visit Manhattan. We appreciate their ongoing support. Let's dig right in. Who's got the questions, by the way? Nobody.
It's a really good question.
You don't even know yourselves. How am I supposed to know if you don't know?
First question of the podcast is who's reading the questions?
Zach, I'm going to let you choose today.
Let Cole
Carmody with your questions from Wabash Station. Here we go.
First question from El Camino Cat. How many TV viewers do you anticipate tuning in to FS1 for K-State versus Stanford at 9 a.m. on the West Coast? Is this game a good barometer for the potential media interest in the Big 12, Pac-12 scheduling alliance?
That's a pretty good question. Probably 12 million. I might be optimistic. It will be, and I think it's important here to start really paying attention to the numbers. The numbers aren't that bad. I mean, if you look at Pac-12 numbers compared to what the rest of the conference out of OU and Texas gets, they're very comparable. So having a Pac-12, Big 12 matchup will be kind of interesting. Look, let's be honest here. I mean, if you're a football fan on the West Coast, you're used to watching 9 a.m. games. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can wake up early and watch College Game Day and be done with it fairly early for the most part, other than your Pac-12 After Dark that lasts 4.5 hours every time. I don't know. It's a great question, and it is something for us to follow up on down the road when those numbers finally come out. But it's important to start drawing some viewers. But I think more important for Kansas State is for fans to be there and to show during the broadcast that so many fans made it down to Dallas for the game.
If you had to break it up between region, I'd still only say like 100,000 probably for West Coast.
Oh, what?
I don't.
Stanford fans aren't going to watch. They don't.
Yeah.
My problem with associating with the Pac-12, and I talk about cultural fits, I think there are some cultural problems, but they don't have the passion for their college athletics that teams, fans in this region do. It is a different culture. You can argue that there's more to do out there, but I just think they're less invested in their universities than you are in this area. And maybe that's not true for all the schools, and it's a generalization, but I can tell you this, nobody around Stanford gave a crap that there was a football game with Kansas State back in 2017. 16. Well, they didn't care in 17 either because there wasn't a game. It's just a different world. They're more selective about their sports. I mean, there might be golf fans at Stanford because they're so good. I don't know. But they sure aren't that invested in football. Well, the students weren't on campus. Well, I understand that. But if the students aren't on campus in Manhattan, as many as possible still go to the game. So I don't buy this. That's my problem with the Pac-12 is they're just not they don't have that college atmosphere in a lot of their sporting events. It's just a different world. And Utah has actually brought a breath of fresh air to the conference because they are more of a traditional university. I've had someone that has gone to Utah games say that they are by far the most Big 12 feeling of the institutions in the Pac-12.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say. I mean, you look at a 9 a.m. game. I know a lot of fans in the Big 12, if there was 9 a.m. football in the Big 12, fans would watch it. I mean, that'd be great for the Big 12 fans to wake up in the morning and watch football. I know if K-State played, if the roles were reversed and K-State was playing at 9 a.m., would fans complain? Yes. But would they still watch? Yes. I don't think Stanford fans are going to watch the game, and just because you hit the nail on the head, not as big of a following, but I still do think that there will be some people on the West Coast that tune in. You think of the Washingtons of the world, you think of the Utahs of the world, the Colorados of the world. Hey, there's a team in our conference playing in the morning, but we have nothing else going on. We might as well watch the game. I think there's going to be some of that happens.
I'm kind of surprised that after K-State played at Marshall at 9 a.m. Central, I think it was 9 a.m. Central, whatever time it was, that there were never really any games after that where they were that early. And I don't remember the circumstances that put it that early, but I think it was a good showing saying, hey, we can play football this early. And it was fine. And K-State won, right? They won that one.
Yeah.
By like 2?
Yeah, it was a good game, but they won. That was the game in which K-State's headsets went out. And Marshall kept using theirs.
Ooh.
So there's great photos of like Michael Smith on a cell phone calling up to the press box to get calls. And there isn't a rule about you have to stop. It's just a gentleman's agreement. You haven't seen K-State schedule Marshall anything since then.
True.
Why would you, though? Anyway.
It's just beautiful.
Just another trip to West Virginia you don't need.
Yeah. It was a cultural experience, I'll say that.
I'm sure.
Much more than going to Morgantown, even. It was a little more rural in its setting. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I think going back to the question, though, a little bit, is regardless of time, I think a K-State Stanford game, more people would watch it on the East Coast than the West Coast any time of day. It doesn't matter if it's prime time, whatever the best viewing time for Stanford or anyone on the West Coast is, I still think there's going to be more viewership on the East Coast. And maybe that's just me playing the statistics, but I think that more people care about random football games in general on the East Coast versus people that follow Pac-12 football.
I'd agree.
Next question comes from Schultem43. What's the tougher matchup, Stanford or Nevada? I think you can reasonably argue Nevada is a better team, but the game being in Manhattan helps.
I think that's a perfect point. I actually think Nevada's a better team, but it's in Manhattan, and that'll be a big advantage. So I think at the end of the day, being a neutral site versus home game, it all kind of washes out. They're both potential losses. There's no doubt about it. You got to go take care of this business. You can't mess around with either one of them. You need all three of those non-conference wins, but honestly, on paper, I'm more threatened by Nevada, but I like the fact that it's in Manhattan, and it'll be week 3.
See, I actually am on the other side of this. I think I'm more worried about Nevada. If I'm a K-State fan, I'm more worried about Nevada. If I'm a K-State coach, I'm more worried about Nevada because the energy is going to be there for Stanford. You just know it is. Going on the road, it's going to feel like a bowl game to start the season, and there's going to be more added focus, I think, and preparation on the Stanford game because I think the players know how important this is, and the coaches definitely know how important it is. So they're going to be fully prepared for this game. And then you come back and you play an FCS school in Southern Illinois who's not terrible, but you should win that game. Then when they play Nevada, that's when things get tricky for me because how many times have we seen a group of 5 school come in to a K-State, to a KU, to even a Michigan and win because they are just kind of overlooking them. And I think that's another thing that needs to be brought up too is it's the last non-conference game. I mean, they're going to be looking ahead towards Big 12 play. The Nevada game worries me because of all of that, but also because they are a better team than Stanford. So I think sometimes you can kind of sleepwalk through games as a player, and the Nevada game just seems like that 100% to me.
I think the Stanford game is still the tougher matchup, but also because of the results of what that matchup could mean going into the Nevada game. I think you lose to Stanford, you better hold on to your shorts for the Nevada game. So I think, they might be equal, or maybe Nevada may be even better as far as a team goes, but going on the road, so to speak, it's a neutral site, but you're not playing at home against a quality opponent in Stanford. I still think that's the tougher one, and it comes first. So that's why I think it's probably the harder matchup.
Back to what you were saying, Cole, not to play devil's advocate here, but you could also take the opposite stance of that and say, hey, the coaching staff is going to let their players know that this Nevada game coming up later in the season is a legitimate opponent. So then maybe you focus on Nevada a little bit more than, say, Stanford. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying I disagree, but I don't know. I think those can both go hand in hand. I don't think K-State's going to look ahead of Stanford, and I don't think the vice versa is going to happen either.
I think
looking ahead to Nevada, I don't think there's any question that that's happening. I don't think it's happening. They're looking at Stanford, and you have Southern Illinois. You don't want to overlook Southern Illinois too, and take a loss to an FCS team. So I
think name brand in this situation is important to remember too, because Stanford is a name brand. People know Stanford. There is good talent on Stanford. Surely there's good talent on Nevada too, but I mean, you look at Nevada, you could replace them with Coastal Carolina. Take out what Coastal Carolina did last year. I mean, traditionally Nevada's been solid, yes, but I mean, they're just another group of 5 school that, could they come in and win? Sure, but I think the players kind of look at it as okay, we should win this game. When they look at it, they say we should win this game. When you look at Stanford, they say, yeah, we should win this game, but we know it's going to be a good game. I mean, Pac-12, it's a Pac-12 opponent. It's another Power 5 opponent. I think the opportunity for a letdown exists, especially if you go 2-0, to start the season. The opportunity of a letdown is going to be there. And you mentioned it. If you lose to Stanford, then it's a whole other story. But I do think the opportunity for a letdown is there.
My answer is going to be Stanford because of what happened last year with Arkansas State. Coach Kleiman, and even with North Dakota State when they beat K-State here in Manhattan, he's going to have his guys ready for the non-Power 5 game.
Yeah, okay.
Next question comes from ContraCat. Over under, driven by 2019 full stats, he says. And I don't know if you want to go through this one by one.
Yeah.
Okay. The average 350 yards per game of total offense, over under.
So for the whole season, will K-State average
correct
over or under 350 yards?
Oh, I hate these.
Yeah.
I really hate these. I'll go over. I think they're going to be more diverse in their weapons, but I am still worried about the receivers' involvement in the passing game.
I think, I'll go over. They need to pick it up. And I feel like 350 yards is such a low mark for an offense.
If you want to be a good offense, you have to be over 350 yards. So, I'll go over.
I'll go under. And honestly, it's not really a knock on the offense, but maybe a compliment to the defense that the offense won't be on the field as much. I guess that didn't make any sense, did it?
Well, that's the other way around.
You know what I meant to say. Dang it. Gills, come on.
Well, potentially, if the defense is good, it means your offense will have less yardage because they'll have shorter fields. So
thank you.
We'll see.
That's what I meant to say.
That sounds good.
I agree.
Average 180 yards per game of rushing.
Over. That's where I think they'll be around 200 in that.
I think so too, just because of how they're going to use the quarterback running the football too this year. I mean, with Skylar Thompson being fully healthy, who's been a pretty solid runner in the past, and now with everything we've heard about Will Howard, they're going to run the quarterback a lot. And they're going to have faith that they can run Skylar Thompson because they have a capable backup in Will Howard. So, you add in the running quarterback. I think there's going to be a lot of quarterback rushing yards, and you add that on to Deuce Vaughn, who we know is going to get a lot of carries. I'm going to go over as well.
I know you didn't mean it like this, but it sounds like you want them to sacrifice Skylar Thompson.
If you have confidence in your backup quarterback...
Hey, Skylar, you're going to go run. You remember Colin Klein 10 years ago? That's you. And we have somebody better behind. Not necessarily better than what Colin Klein's backup would have been at the time.
And then at the postseason awards, and the Jesse Dirtz Memorial Award goes to... but he's not dead yet. Well, we kind of killed him.
This one is tough, though, because Deuce Vaughn's obviously going to get a lot of yardage, but how much of that's going to be through the air? You know what I mean?
True. So
that leads us into the next one, Cole.
Yeah, I'll go. I hadn't answered, but I'll go under. I don't think they'll hit 180 average a
I'll
game.
go under as well.
Average 199 yards per game of passing.
I'll go under on that. I think they're going to be more of a running team this year.
I guess it just depends on how good you think Skylar Thompson's going to be, right? I mean, if he's going to run the ball a lot, then you would think that maybe the yardage of yards through the air would be under. But that's maybe not necessarily the case if you think he's going to have a really good year and you think the wide receivers are going to step up. I'm going to say under as well, just because we haven't really seen Skylar Thompson consistently throw over 200 yards a game. So for that reason, I will say under.
I'm also going to take the under, but knowing that I took the under last time and the over on total offense, that's a very small margin of error for me to do. But I think they'll be both under both of those, yet they'll still hit over 350 yards.
I like the over. I mean, 200 passing yards in a game.
You're threading a hell of a needle over there, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're threading over, though. I mean, 200 yards a game. I mean, like I said with Deuce Vaughn, he's going to catch some balls. And if the rushing game wants to be good, the passing game needs to be good, too. You know, it can't be all on Deuce's shoulders. It can't be on Skylar's shoulders. It's going to have to be a team, a team effort. So I'll go over with passing.
I just think with the over, oh, Mike, why does this always happen? Thank you. I'm getting a call from Rensselaer, Indiana.
Do you not have mute on that fancy phone of yours?
I don't think it exists, does it?
Never mind. Where were we?
Kids and their technology.
I'm not a kid anymore, so you can look at Cole all day for that one.
I'm a big kid now.
Average of 399 yards per game allowed on defense.
Oh, man. See, that just sums it up. You're talking about, will they outgain their opponents over the course of the season? That's a problem right there. I'm going to go under. I think they're going to be, if I'm really believing they're going to be good this year, I'm thinking they're going to be looking at 400 yards of offense and 370, 380 on defense.
I agree with you. I'm going to take the under because I think the defense is going to be better than the offense, but I don't think the offense is going to be bad. Does that make sense? So I'm going to take the under.
I feel like they're going to have one game that is going to be such an outlier. Like play Oklahoma, and let's say they throw 600 yards, and it's just a giant blowout where it just skews the average so much to where it puts it over. But
how many yards are they going to give up to Southern Illinois?
It's also
could
true.
also offset
It's also
that.
true. I'll go under.
Hold on to 100. It'll help you out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I like under as well.
15.5 passing touchdowns this year. Not necessarily for Skylar Thompson, just
Right.
as a whole.
Under.
Just to be clear, we're not counting touchdowns to Deuce Vaughn as a half, right? That's
He gets a full
He gets a
touchdown.
full?
He
Well,
gets a full touchdown.
Considering it's passing touchdowns, when we saw him throw, I don't think he's going to be throwing for any touchdowns. He's got a noodle arm, as the kids say.
15 and a half. I'll say under. I think they're going to run the ball a lot.
See, I'm going to take the over because I think they're going to do a lot of short yardage situations because they don't necessarily have that goal line tailback right now like we saw them have Harry Trotter, who just got a bunch of easy touchdowns, or they don't have the Winston Dimmels of the world where they can just hand the ball off and he's going to fall in the end zone. I think we're going to see packages where we have Will Howard at the goal line and we see some Blake Bell, we see some Tim Tebow jump passes. I think we're going to get some of that. I really do.
No,
I really do.
It's going to be 1 yard Skylar Thompson non-highlight touchdowns where he just falls into the end zone. That's going to be most of I'm not going to say most of their touchdowns. It's going to be a lot of their red zone touchdowns is just powered in, and if it takes 3 downs to get it in, they'll get it in.
So,
but I'm taking the under, but all they have to do to beat this is get 2 touchdowns in 4 games, and then 1 touchdown in the others.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So it's possible, but with what the wide receivers have been, it's kind of worrying.
It is worrying, but I'll go over because the tight ends are going to step up. They'll lead us to the over.
Fitz, did you give your answer?
Yeah, I said under.
Under?
I think they're going to run the ball a lot.
Okay, well, 14 and a half different players scoring rushing or receiving touchdowns this season.
What?
Way under.
Under.
Hey, this is what
So that happened in
I think 2019 was 14. I think he.
That's probably
I was looking at some of the
defensive
stats.
touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
Your players,
Oh wait, no.
special
This
teams?
is just offensive touchdowns.
Offensive.
Offensive touchdowns, rushing,
I find
receiving.
it hard to believe that'd be that high.
Yeah, way under.
Because if we just, I'm going off the top of my head. I think Skylar Thompson. I think Deuce Vaughn.
Right.
You would think probably Daniel and
Will Howard.
Will Howard. Sammy Wheeler. You'd have to
Yeah.
see.
Knowles, Brooks.
What's that? 7?
I don't know. I mean, Taylor, Irvin. Like, I guess you can get that number to creep up there,
You can get up there pretty easily, I think.
but I'm still gonna go under.
I think it's under.
Yeah, I'm with you. 5.5 thrown interceptions this season.
Skylar Thompson threw 5 interceptions in 2019, which seemed actually low to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It seemed.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Over. I think that's pretty easy. No offense to Skylar, but that's one interception every 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I think. Yeah, I'd go
Over.
over there.
I think it's dependent upon how much they throw the ball, though. Because if we think they're going to run the ball a lot, then you could say the under.
True.
If they throw the ball more, he's going to
I mean,
throw a lot more
sure,
interceptions.
but I feel like 5 is just really low.
I know. I'm going to go with the over, but
But again, though, if they're on offense a lot, throwing that many interceptions is not necessarily a bad thing because that just means you have more possessions. So I'm going to take the over too. But I mean, there could be ways where the 6 interceptions is not over 5.5 interceptions is not necessarily a bad thing for the offense. 2.5 special teams touchdowns this year.
I'll go over. They'll have at least one punt or kickoff return, at least one interception or fumble return, and I'm
Special
confident. Well, I guess
Yeah, not
not
non-offensive.
a
special
non-offensive.
teams.
Hey, I'm
I'll
gonna
still
go-
take the over though.
I'm going to go under.
They had 4 last year that were not offensive, right?
I'm not.
Well, this is
certain.
just special teams. I'm going to take the over.
I'll take the
Well,
over.
7 were scored by Phillip Brooks in the first half against Kansas. I'm going to bet that the new coaching staff doesn't let that happen.
I'm going to agree with that.
I mean, that last year, everything we thought about the return game was a little bit skewed because of what happened against Kansas.
Yep.
I mean, overall, it wasn't great for the season. It was just totally devastating in one half of one game. I'm going to stick under. I think they'll get a couple, but 3 special teams touchdowns in a year is a lot.
Well, here's where I'm at. I understand that the returners play a huge part in the return game, but it's about the unit as much as it is about anything else. That's why Malik Knowles and Joshua Youngblood took kickoffs back for touchdowns in 2019. So I'm going to take the over on this because I think they're going to get at least 1 punt and they're going to get at least 2 kickoff returns because I think the special teams unit.
I think they're
is
just
gonna be pretty solid.
I think they're just too talented. They're too athletic to not get more than 2.
Good.
I think they can break some loose, get down to the 20-10 yard line, get pushed out of bounds. No touchdowns, though.
No.
You're going 0?
1 or 2.
Okay.
Whew, hot take. 11.5 interceptions this season, defensive interceptions.
I can't believe that they had 11 in 2019.
Yeah, I'm taking the under.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm going under.
I don't think they'll get that many.
No. Under? Gills?
Yes.
23.5 defensive sacks. They had 23 sacks in 2019.
Apparently, that is the case. It seems high.
Did we fact check ContraCat stats?
I checked a couple of them. I did check a couple
we
of
trust
them.
our people. They would never lie to us.
Well, I needed to double check the interceptions because there was often thrown and defensive, so I needed to make sure those numbers are right. Because I was like 11 and 5.
23 sacks seems higher than 11.5 interceptions to me.
Yeah, they did.
23
They
is
did
greater
have a
than
lot
11.
of sacks, though. Remember, they play KU every year.
I'm going to go over.
Who's going to get the sacks?
Well, Nate Matlack's going to have 23 of them, and then someone will have to just get a half.
Chris Kleiman was sure high on him during the press
How about
conference.
that?
That was a
Finally.
big one.
Yeah, I'll go.
2 a game?
I can't explain why I'm going over, but I'm going to go over.
I think 2 a game's realistic. Yeah, take the over.
I think they're going to be in late game situations. They're going to be so fresh along the front because they've rotated constantly that they're going to get late game sacks.
You know, here I am saying how good the defense is going to be, but I picked the under on every single prop bet we've had. So I know I just talked crap on it, but I'm going to take the over.
Okay.
14.5 non-quarterback rushing touchdowns this season.
Over.
Under.
Under.
Quarterback sneaks? Yeah, under.
Yeah, you just shot down your own.
Hang on. That's just one. It's one a game plus 3 that have 2.
So you think Deuce Vaughn can score a rushing touchdown pretty much every single game?
Yeah, or somebody. Absolutely. They're going to get a minimum of 1, right? Wouldn't you count on a minimum of 1 rushing touchdown a game?
No, because they're going to win a game 17-13 against TCU like they do every single year. And one of those is going to be a pick six, and the other is going to be a Skylar Thompson quarterback run.
I think they'll get 15 or more.
Well,
I like the under.
Under? I think if you take these bets to the bank, you will be mostly right.
I think if you take the bets to the bank will not accept them because they're not a casino.
Take them to Iowa.
Excuse me, what are you doing here? I'm here to take my bets to the bank.
This is not a gambling facility, Cole.
I like Pickles Cat asked the last question of the first half. This is going to be a fun one. Try to predict the number of conference wins for each team and try to make it come out to exactly 45 wins.
Oh, come on. How are we going to do?
It's okay. You're gonna get your pencil and paper out.
This was fun.
It's okay.
Golly!
Come on, Boomer.
Golly!
And now Daphne is scared.
Because I made a noise?
It's okay, Daph.
Well,
Okay, let's go.
Gills, you're the one who said this is fun.
KU.
It's very fun.
KU, 0.
Yes.
Really?
I like 1.
We got to
Just
save
to
some
stir up
wins
the
for the other places, though. I feel fine giving KU 0.
How are we going to overrule somebody's just going to bring up a number and then we're going to say
Veto.
yeah.
OU 8.
You think they're going to lose one game?
We're talking averages here.
Sure.
Did you
Okay.
do this already?
I've already done
Oh, that's
Oh,
what you're
great.
looking for.
Never mind. Here we go.
this. So what, we got KU at 0? 0?
When did you make this?
Put them at 0.
When we had to predict records.
Oh, see, we did do a similar thing.
I actually went through every game and picked winners and losers. You just don't predict records. You got to figure out how they get to that record. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in OU, I had 9.
No. They're going to lose somewhere.
Not according to Fitz. He has his 12-0 end of the year.
Okay.
Okay, and that guy is established.
So KU
He's
0.
definitely got to be 0.
He's got the check mark on Twitter. Not the blue one, just one he made up. Okay, who else we got here? Who else is the
Kansas
What?
0.
KU 0.
OU
9.
Right.
Texas
6.
6.
5.
6 is what I have.
Okay.
I feel like we've turned this question into guessing what's on Fitz's notebook. Iowa State 7.
8.
You went
6.
8.
You went 6.
6.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Wow.
And they're going to have a little letdown this year.
Is K-State one of those wins?
K-State 6.
No, K-State is not one of those wins.
7.
Are we doing K-State now?
Yeah, what'd you put K-State? 6? Okay, 5.
So you had K-State
sense.
beating Iowa State.
So we got a lot of 5s for West Virginia,
I think for the
Texas
most
Tech,
part,
and TCU and whoever, Baylor.
The conference is only going to lose a few non-conference games. I feel like they're in good shape with almost every game. So I've got K-State 5-4 in the conference and 8-4 overall. That's how I got there.
What teams do you have besides Kansas losing non-con?
I can't tell you who it is off of my notes here. Baylor's losing 1. I got KU winning 2. So that means only losing 1.
Losing to Coastal Carolina.
They're going to win at Coastal. I'm telling you
So
right
they're going to have a win over a ranked opponent. Coastal Carolina, number 24 in the country.
They're not. They're again, that's rankings off of last year. Everything, it was a charm season for the, what's their mascot?
Chanticleers?
Chanticleers. I was
that
going
right?
to call them the Charlatans. That's KU. See, OU was perfect. I've got Oklahoma State losing 1. Who they play? They've got someone pretty good on their non-con. I can't remember.
BYU, is it BYU? No, that's Baylor, right?
Boise State?
They play Tulsa? They do play Boise State, yep.
Boise State.
Yeah, and it's up there, isn't it?
I think it might be.
I believe so.
Like I said, I didn't write down who. I got Texas losing a non-con. I got Tech losing a No, I got Tech running it, and I can't read my writing. And I've got West Virginia losing a non-con.
They play Maryland and Virginia Tech, I want to say.
That sounds right.
I think it's Virginia Tech. Okay, who else we got here? Go to the notes here, the little tallies.
Oh, I just saw it.
Yeah.
Got a
Texas
screenshot in
Tech
my mind.
3.
What? No?
Texas Tech 2.
I got them at 2.
West Virginia 5.
6.
Baylor 1.
Baylor 2.
Baylor,
I got Baylor
3.
Really?
West Virginia. Oh, wait, we already did that.
5.
TCU. 5?
4.
4.
Fitz hates TCU.
So
Receiving.
we just went 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Make sure-
9.
You know what? Let's make sure it adds up here. So there's 9, there's 14, there's 23, 32, 38, 45.
Bum, ba-da-bum.
Congrats. Fitz can math.
I'm mathed. Yeah, okay. So I've got, let me just go from top to bottom. Oklahoma, I've got 9-0 in the conference. Second place, I have a tie between Iowa State and Texas at 6-3. I've got K-State, Oklahoma State at 5-4. In the bottom half of the conference, I've got TCU at 4-5. Oh, excuse me, West Virginia's at 5-4 also. So that's 6 teams above water. TCU 4-5, Baylor 3-6, Tech 2-7, Kansas 0.
I think Oklahoma State's underrated there. I think 6-3 is fair for them.
Losing a lot of weapons.
They lost the 2 pieces I was most scared of on offense.
And they lost Gundy's mullet.
That is the most
It'll be
important.
back by the end of the season. Calm down.
Man,
He shaped it. He teed it up so it could be good to go by December.
you know what was bad about me not coming to the second day of Meaty Day? Is last time I went to Meaty Day, I got to use the restroom right next to Mike Gundy. So I'm peeing next to him, and I'm staring at his mullet.
You shouldn't be eyeing anything next to you.
Man, I tell you
in the
what,
urinal.
I was like
Did
telling
you
myself,
even go?
Don't.
Were you nervous?
Don't. No, that's fine. No, back then, no. Not going isn't the problem. I was like, don't touch the mullet. Don't touch the mullet. Don't. I mean, I was like, I wanted to touch the mullet.
You wanted to reach over and grab it.
The mullet. Yes. Yes, I did. I did.
The mullet on his head.
Yeah, yes. I don't know how anything else was groomed. But the mullet on his head in person is lovely. Has a little curl to it. It looked really soft. I wanted to touch it.
Did you smell it?
Oh my God, I could have Bidened the hell out of that thing. Just lean over and go,
Just wanted to put your face all up in it.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think that would have probably caused a little ruckus. This man touched me in the bathroom. Well, it's Fitz. He touched my mullet. Ooh, that's weird. Okay, next. That was it.
Yeah.
That's it for the first half of the Power Cat Questions podcast. I'm sorry we talked about Mike Gundy's body parts. We won't do that in the second half, but we'll be right back.
GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat podcast continues after this short break.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage, to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's here to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 15% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. And Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning 24/7 help is there there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back to the Power Cat Podcast. Now, let's return to the GPC studios.
Welcome back to the Power Cat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. I forgot to put my headphones on, guys. I got hold on. Oh, I sound better now.
Can you hear us now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, our segment sponsors are Tanner's and the High Low. And here we go. Back to Cole.
First question of the second half comes from El Camino Cat. With all of this season's true freshmen, that is not what the question asks. From El Camino Cat, will all of this season's true freshman redshirt? If you had to pick one to make an immediate splash and play more than 4 games, who would it be?
Well, based on what we're hearing at wide receiver, it wouldn't surprise me if RJ Garcia was the one that played.
Right. I think it's going to be receiver. They just got to have more explosive playmakers out there. The guys that they have, they say Phillip Brooks has made a lot of progress, but he's a little slot guy. You know, you're not going to run him deep and across the middle. I mean, you look back at Tyler Lockett, he was little, but he was strong. He could get off people. Phillip doesn't quite have that. So they're going to need another sizable, fast receiver to put out there. Particularly if Sebastian Taylor isn't going to be the same. And he's struggling with that knee, guys. He just really is. And granted, he didn't have the surgery until December, but, man, he just looks like he's really having issues with it.
Well, I will say the last Berkeley Prep receiver that came to K-State played his freshman year. That was Josh Youngblood.
That worked out good.
I don't know if that means anything. I don't necessarily think it does, but obviously, you know, K-State's had a history of one player of having success at that position, at least on the field, when they come in their freshman year. So, yeah, I guess if I had to pick somebody, I would go with Garcia as well. But I just don't know how physically developed this class is as a whole and ready to contribute right away. So, you know, I think the only way that we see freshmen on the field is if there's injuries. And, hopefully for everybody's case, that doesn't happen.
You got to consider that this year's a little bit different. You really have to have a need position this season, and I see receiver as that. But not only do you have the first kind of high-intensity wave of transfer portal guys. Now, granted, they've had other transfers, but you also have super seniors coming back.
Right.
So that kind of waters things down. I mean, if Skylar Thompson doesn't come back, Jake Rubley's the answer because he's probably going to be the backup. But, yeah, I think receiver's the only place where, as of now, barring the injuries you mentioned, Cole, that I can see them really having a need.
Piggybacking off of that, too, Fitz, you know, Kleiman wanted to play his young guys last year because it was the pandemic. That's not going to be the case this year because it's more of a real season.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see guys get in 4 or fewer games. It's just a matter of will someone exceed that and actually use a year of eligibility.
I also think it's important to note, Chris Kleiman said today that they were wanting to get 10 offensive linemen involved in the offense.
Crazy.
There's some offensive linemen that could get into the top 10 that were in this recruiting class.
Good.
Not saying that that's going to happen, but if he really wants to get 10 guys consistently playing, you don't have to squint to see an Andrew Langang or somebody like that getting involved.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned outright 8 guys are going to be in the rotation, and he said we might get up to 10 into the rotation. And that's really a Connor Riley thing that doesn't match up with what a lot of offensive line coaches want. They want their 5. They want them working together all the time. And they do have the situation when they do have an injury, they're not used to it, and it can throw them out of whack. He likes to rotate them through and get them used to playing with a group of guys and kind of make the ballet company have more stars in the show. Because it really is choreography and working together on that offensive line, not tripping over each other quite literally in some places.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of wide receivers that have red shirts available play early. Maybe not against Stanford, but those Southern Illinois and Nevada games, I think those are going to be full-on tryouts to see, hey, can you stick it for the full season? Because if not, we'll just, let you play a couple more and shut it down. But if you step up in those two games, I mean, that could be where the player emerges for wide receiver.
Next question comes from ContraCat. Who needs to level up more before we kick it off? Linebackers, defensive ends, defensive tackles, wide receivers, or tight ends? Or what is K-State's weakest link?
I would answer linebackers. I like the two. I like Fletcher and Green. I think they're going to be good. In fact, someone put up stats where their stats look better than Sullivan and Hughes from last year. So I think they're going to be fine, but they're going to want more than that. We saw it last year. When those two dudes had to play most of the game, they just can't do it. That's so much wear and tear and running. I think they've got bodies at defensive tackle to rotate. They've got incredible depth at defensive end. It's been interesting doing national media. The perception is they won't have anyone like Wyatt Hubert, and I don't accept that. First of all, I don't think Wyatt was overwhelmingly good. I mean, he was a 7th-round draft pick. I mentioned on another show, to me, that's a sign of where the talent's dropped at Kansas State. That's your number one guy who goes in the 7th round instead of the 2nd or 3rd, which is pretty common for Kansas State. And, the news about Nate Matlack that Chris Klieman said Tuesday that he's made the biggest breakthrough just only emphasizes how deep that rotation can be. When you start listing off all the guys that have played and can play, you go 3 deep pretty quickly at defensive end. So when I start really looking at these position groups, it's the depth at linebacker that just always jumps out at me because I like the front guys. But come the fourth quarter, they better be fresh. And that means some other guys had to play, and he's pointing to Nick Allen as someone that's broken through. And we're talking about a kid that is a little bit undersized, but has always kind of known what to do. But he said he's just really playing up to speed now. He's faster and stronger and moving around. And so if his reaction time's way up, playing instinctively, Nick will play quite a bit.
Yeah, as much as we talk about the wide receivers needing to step up, I do think that, Daniel Green, Cody Fletcher, those two at linebacker, they're good, but the depth there's a lot to be desired. And there's going to be somebody that needs to step up and somebody that needs to level up. And like I said, as much as wide receiver, there's giant question marks there. If one of those two main guys goes down at linebacker, they could be in for a world of hurt.
And you mentioned Nick Allen, and that's somebody who I want to talk about here for a second because he is, to me, somebody that I think K-State fans overlook. And he was a walk-on, so I'm not sitting here going to say that Nick Allen is going to be the next, Justin Hughes. But Nick Allen was a very, very good high school football player in a league in the EKL in Kansas City that has produced some very good college football players. And he also played as a redshirt freshman. So, yeah, he's seen some time, and he's going to be one of the best special teams players that K-State has this year. It didn't surprise me when Chris Klieman mentioned him at all. It didn't surprise me. So he's going to be somebody that I think K-State fans need to keep an eye on. But answering this question, I think the receivers, for sure are the answer to this question because I feel confident with what K-State has along the defensive line, just for every reason you said, Fitz. But I feel the same way at tight end. Receiver is the position that I think has the biggest question mark next to it just because they didn't address it in the offseason. They addressed everywhere else. They didn't address receiver.
Well, they finally got to get a JUCO guy late in the process, but he wasn't around all summer. So how valuable he'll be is a question mark. And the fact that they did that tells me that they finally recognized what a lot of us had seen. You don't have frontline guys. You got guys. I mean, I'm fine with a lot of their receivers being out there some. But honestly, if you're playing some of those guys as starters, you're not very good at receiver Overall, you're not very good. They're good for 20 snaps apiece, but if you're got them trotted out there for 50 snaps, you're not very good at receiver. And I'm really worried about it, but I think they've got enough guys where they're not going to have a cruel drop-off in the middle of the game. Linebacker, they might have a drop-off.
But is the cruel drop-off necessarily a bad thing? Because at linebacker, if you have two solid guys, you can make it work. At receiver, if you don't have any solid guys, well, there's an argument to be made that just because there's no drop-off, that doesn't mean that it's not necessarily a good thing.
Well, I would argue that you can work around your own offensive weaknesses, but the opposing offense will exploit your defensive weaknesses, and that's why I'm more concerned about that.
Next question from Chris66204. Which of these individuals most needs to step up early or risk being passed over for playing time the rest of the season?
Me. What part? Go ahead with the question.
Running back, Jacardier Wright. And then wide receivers, Malik Knowles and Sebastian Taylor.
Well, I can't answer Sebastian. We don't know if he's even going to be able to really go until midseason. He's still not running full speed.
I think it's Jacardier Wright.
Jacardier's got it.
Yeah.
There's nobody, at least when you talk about Malik and even Sebastian, talking about somebody to pass them, there's nobody to pass them over.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's nobody. It's clearly Jacardier Wright because he's had 2 years now.
Backs, yeah.
He played last year. Now you have Joe Irvin coming back from his sabbatical. And, you know,
like that.
I like the word sabbatical.
Yeah.
It's a great word. Jacardier, he should have been more present last year, but it took forever for him to get onto the field, and I don't really know what the issue is.
He just hasn't grasped the offense, and they're saying now he's getting it. Oh, God Lord, man. If you've got an All-American level starter, and Joe Irvin, I really liked him as a true freshman. He comes back now with an opportunity to have a fresh body because he didn't play last year. So you're third on the depth chart, young man, and you got nowhere to go but completely out of the rotation at this point because I don't see him surpassing those two. And as a bigger, stronger back, he should be able to fill a role for this offense.
And in the limited action we saw him on Saturday, you know, it's not full speed, but he did look pretty good for when he did touch the football. So I'll give him credit for that.
I think, like I said, I think the answer is Jacardier Wright, but one person that I think can step up and take Jacardier Wright's place, I know this isn't really in the question, but I mean, Chris Kleiman on Tuesday mentioned Clyde Price a little bit. I mean, this was a kid who was an absolute beast in high school, and he was one of the better running backs. I think, at least me personally, when you look at all the running backs that K-State brought in that recruiting class, Price was the one guy I thought, okay, this guy can come in and make an impact, at some point in his career. But he hasn't been on the field. He has not been on the field. He redshirted his first year, and I think maybe played a game or two of special teams last year. But, that's a guy who, if you're him, you're looking at the depth chart and saying, Joe Irvin wasn't here last year. Jacardier Wright has consistently underperformed. That number 2 running back is completely up for grabs. I think, so yeah, to take this full circle, I think the answer is Jacardier Wright, and I don't even know if it's close.
Okay. Gills, you got any thoughts?
I agree. I think if the question was just about who needs to step up, it's Malik Knowles 100%. But in terms of being passed over, I agree. The running back.
Malik's going to get so many opportunities because he can physically do things other receivers can on this roster, which says a lot about where they're at.
3G Wildcat wants to know who takes the pressure off of Deuce Vaughn to produce on offense.
This guy named Tim Fitzgerald.
Yes, I will be carrying the load of snacks. I think it's just going to be a collection of people. They just have more weapons. They've got tight ends that they can throw to. I think you heard Kleiman hint at it Tuesday that they'll be using people in different situations, such as jet sweeps and, trying to get the ball to different people in different spots. Yeah, I mean, and plus having Skyler back, that just a lot of what went wrong down the stretch for K-State was the fact they had a true freshman quarterback who everyone figured out. You got a game and a half in against Tech and TCU and put enough on film for people to understand his limitations. And you won't have that at quarterback. So I think the fact that Skyler will be able to make better decisions from the quarterback spot will just diversify the offense enough.
I actually think the answer to this question is the defense. Who takes the pressure off of Deuce Vaughn on offense? It's the defense. If the defense can perform, then Deuce Vaughn can run the football, catch the ball out of the backfield, not have to be forced to make huge plays, and put the other people in the offense in a bad situation. So I think if the defense performs, I mean, there's a reason they say defense wins championships. If the defense can perform, it opens up the offense completely.
I think it has to be the wide receivers. Malik Knowles needs to step up and take the pressure off, because if K-State's one-dimensional again, where Deuce Vaughn is it, if the wide receivers can't make moves, they can't make catches, and Deuce Vaughn, and even like the tight ends like last year with Bradley Moore, if that's all your offense is, they're going to be able to shut him down quickly. So it's going to have to be a much more diverse and broad offense when it comes to weapons. It can't just be Deuce and Bebe. Let's say Bebe.
Bebe.
Hard name to say.
It's BB.
Thank you.
That's a user. That is a member on our.
Exactly.
There's more syllables than Itane BB.
I don't know. I think if you have to pick one single individual on the offensive side of the football, it's Skylar Thompson. Kind of what you said fits. So if it's not the defense for me, it'd be Skylar Thompson. I think the receivers can't step up if Skylar doesn't get him the ball. So at the end of the day, that's the guy, right?
Yeah.
I don't disagree that he has to get him the ball, but if Skylar's not playing, somebody's got to get the wide receivers the ball. It's got to be the whole passing game.
So the last question of the podcast comes from 3G Wildcat once again. Who steps up at linebacker to shore up the middle of the defense?
I don't know. I mean, they're talking Nick Allen. I'm not sure. I mean, I think Munoz was just a depth guy from the start. He didn't play regularly at Utah State. There's some young guys. I mean, they like. I think linebackers are a real concern for me because I feel like it's an area that as the game wears on and they wear out, they're going to get exploited.
The closer we get to kickoff on September 4th, the closer I get worried about the linebacker situation.
I just don't quite grasp what they're doing with the third linebacker position that they're talking about. I mean, are they morphing their nickel into more of a linebacker that Wayne Jones is going to come in and play that in more of a running situation? I'm a little confused by it, to be honest. Someone that can cover but still support the run. So we'll find out. I mean, a lot of teams are playing with 210-pound linebackers now. It's pretty common. TCU's done it for years. It's more about not getting off blocks, but beating the blocks to the point where you want to get to. So I'm very concerned about linebacker on that defense side of the ball.
I think one thing that could be a possibility as the season goes on is, you mentioned Wayne Jones, but what about Jerron McPherson? I mean, Ryan and I watch the Chiefs every single Sunday, and you watch Tyrann Mathieu. He plays cornerback, he plays safety, and he plays linebacker. Jerron McPherson has played safety. Jerron McPherson has played cornerback. He's also been very good in run coverage.
Yep.
I'm not going to sit here and say that Jerron McPherson can be a honey badger like Tyrann Mathieu is for the Chiefs, but I think he can be kind of a Swiss Army knife that they might think about using in a linebacker type situation.
Yeah, the safety inside the tackles that kind of functions that way could be. I don't know. They just need to be better tacklers overall, and everyone needs to finish their tackles because they had real issues with that at times last year. And some of that comes with lack of conditioning and not getting to the spot fast enough. You end up diving instead of completing tackles. Any thoughts, anyone? That's it? Man. So we're totally out of whack this week. Our first half went over 30, and this one didn't get over 20.
Oh, no.
Wait.
I know. Always start strong and finish weak. That's my motto. That's it for the podcast. We'll talk to you next week on the PowerCat Questions podcast. Football is getting closer and closer. I have no idea what happened to the summer. I mean, I feel like it started the summer and it's mid-August. It's just not fair. I want more summer.
Thank you for listening to the PowerCat Podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. PowerCat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowerCat.com.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.